Recorded live from the Podcast Studio of America, located in Lancaster, Ohio, it's the Joe and Dan Podcast Show. All right, and welcome back once again to the Joe and Dan Podcast Show. Another adventure awaits all of us. I'm Dan.
How's it going? I'm the Joe. What's going on?
And we are the Joe and Dan Podcast Show. It looks like we got some feedback on our Facebook page the last time we posted if anybody had any topics they wanted us to discuss about. And we've had quite a few people give us some feedback. Joe, what do you got there?
Did you say we've got some listener feedback?
We've got listener feedback. We actually have listeners.
Wish I had a really cool thing of, like, I got a Mr. Rogers soundboard. We had Mr. McFeely come in like, ding, 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 mail.
You've got mail.
All right, let's...
First of all, we'd like to say thank you. Appreciate anybody that gives us any feedback, whether it be positive or negative. Of course, we always like the positive better, but we just want to say thanks for listening. It means we're not doing this and speaking to a wall. We've actually got people out there listening, and we hope you enjoy it. So anyway, what do we got there, Joe?
All right, so first comes from Scott Spangler, or is known around town as Spank. He said,
"Hey, Spank.
Hi, Spank. How about just chatting about some good / and or new music?" Man, I don't know. I'm kind of a dork on new music. I listen to a lot of old stuff a lot of times.
I only got like a 10-minute drive to work and back every day. I don't really have a whole lot of time to listen to music, and usually in the past, that's when I've listened to most of my music is in the car, as is probably a lot of people. But I do like to indulge at home, but I usually kind of listen to weird stuff that most people don't listen to. I like to listen to world music and new age music, and I like to listen to classical music, but I do listen to regular pop and rock and all that stuff too, but not as much as I used to. So I don't know that I can say that I've been into a lot of new music.
With me, it's I have a little bit longer drive to work. So when you're like, radio is meant for the little drives like you have. You're going to get in a car, you're going to turn a radio station, and you're going to hear a top hit. They want you to hear that, so you'll stay listening. So it's really, radio, as my good buddy Jamie Lack says, is about the advertisement, and that's really what it is. So if you have a longer drive, it's hard to listen to the radio. You hear a lot of the same stuff, a lot of the same artists. You might not hear the same song twice, but you'll definitely hear a lot of the same stuff. So I go to Spotify, I make my own little playlist, or I'll pop on a podcast. There's a couple of different ones I listen to.
I'm the same way. Spotify is like my best friend. I love Spotify, and then here recently I've got the Amazon Prime membership, so with that you get the streaming music, so Amazon Music, which they're both about the same, but I do tend to like Spotify better, and I just like to get on there and just explore music. It's a good avenue to just get introduced to new artists and new sounds and everything. So I highly recommend Spotify, and the free one too. I mean, each one of those streaming web services have their premium, but why pay for it when you can get it for free? That's what I say.
Well, the Spotify, I think, is the best of all the ones for being free.
Yeah.
Because you can make lists. You can make a list of your songs. And usually when you come on, it says, hey, watch this 10-minute video for half an hour worth of music. And that's awesome. Yeah. That's like most of the time I'm going to be on a treadmill running. It's going to be listening to that. But they had a deal. I don't know if it's still going on or not, where if you sign up for premium, you got Hulu for free. And I thought, well, I already pay for Hulu, but there was a way that you transferred it over. So for like $1 more a month, I got premium, I went on a plane ride recently. I could download songs.
Yeah, perfect. You can make your playlist for your flight.
Yeah, you're in airplane mode. You can still listen to it. That was the main thing. Now, I only do that once a year, so it's not really worth doing the premium service for. But I'm already going to pay for Hulu, so it was a little better deal that way.
Right. So I think the music services are awesome. The streaming music like Spotify, because you can make your own, like you said, your own playlist for whatever you're doing, your road trip or your workout or whatever. It's awesome.
There is a band that I would love to see, and they're just in Columbus at the that festival they had. It used to be Rock on the Range, but they changed it to something else, another festival. But they're called the Struts.
Oh yeah, I've heard of them. They're good. Is that the one where the lead singer kicks the balloons? Or is that
maybe?
No. That's somebody else. That's another band, I think. They're not a local band.
No.
Okay,
You're
I'm
thinking
thinking
of.
of
What are
you
they
know who I'm
called?
talking about?
Yeah. That's a good show if you
Yeah.
come to it. I've always.
It's a
What the
local
hell's the
band.
name of their? Man, we're so hip. We know all these people. What's that guy's name? I don't know. The guy. He looks. You know what I'm talking about. But
Yeah.
the Struts. I heard at Planet Fitness for the first time, and I was like, the song calls "One Night Only." He acts, and the band sounds like Queen.
Yes, I remember what band you're talking about now, Struts. Yeah, they're pretty good.
And it's not like they're ripping Queen off or anything. It was just the
No,
style
they got
of
their
it.
own music. Yeah.
That I mean, no one's going to be Freddie Mercury. There's nobody can sing that way. I mean, he's not the only great singer. There's nobody can.
Absolutely. There's a lot of great.
I would say
artists
no
out
one.
there.
I would say no one could sing. It's like Steve Perry, but they were not wrong.
Yeah, well, yeah. I guess he's got an album out recently.
Oh, did Steve Perry?
Or
put
was
a
it
new
last
album
year
out?
it came out? Maybe. Yeah, he came out of the woodwork and.
You better watch out. The little Asian guy's gonna come steal that
Oh
album
man, I'll
too.
tell you what. What's his name? Arnell.
Arnell something. or
Oh
other.
yeah,
Howard.
Oh,
I don't know.
yeah, he's pretty good.
Arnett Howard and the Creo Funk Band.
That's Columbus. That's local.
What's the hell's the name of that band? I can't think of their name. It's the something or others.
Yeah.
It's like the.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It doesn't
Well,
matter.
we successfully didn't talk about new music for Spank.
I'll tell you what. I got hooked on a band a few years ago. They were a band out of Cincinnati called the Tillers, and they did folk American music. There's 3 of them, and I was first introduced to them at a festival, an outdoor festival, and a bunch of different bands, artists were playing. They were the last band of the night, and by that time, you're kind of tired. You've been there all day, and this second to the last band came on, and they were like this big, huge, like Chicago. They had all these instruments, and there was like 12 guys on stage, and big sound, really fantastic. And you're like, okay, anybody after them, there's no way they're going to be better than this band right here. But we had heard word from some of the people in the crowd that, hey, if you've never seen the Tillers, you need to make sure you stick around and hear them because they're really good. So I'm thinking, okay, well, we'll give them a try, So wait for them, and then they come on stage, and there's like 3 guys. And one has a banjo, one has a stand-up bass, and one has a guitar. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, okay, there's no way they're going to be able to be any better than this last act that was like massive. Well, until they started playing, and these guys were just tight. Just their instrumentation and their singing, just real good stuff, and most of it was all original. But it's like a folk bluegrass Americana kind of Woody Guthrie kind of a thing going on there, which was really cool. I didn't think I would be drawn to that, but really good. But they're one of the leading artists out of the Cincinnati area in the music scene, which Cincinnati has a pretty thriving music scene. But Columbus does too. And I don't want to take any credit away from Lancaster. Has its own little music scene too, and there's some good artists in Lancaster too.
Not bad.
It's a mixed hat, but anyways, I guess that would be my newest music, which is not really new; it's old. But
There's a band you mentioned, kind of like Chicago having the whole deal.
Yeah.
That plays locally called Rendition.
Okay.
And they play at Fat Cats, and Fat Cats has this, for those of you that don't live in the greater Lancaster area, Fat Cats is a great venue for local music. It's probably the best place locally for it. They consistently have music. There's other bars in town that have music, but not always. There's always something going on the weekends at Fat Cats. Then, except like if there's a Ohio State game, they're not going to pay a band to come in because people are going to watch the band somewhere anyways. A lot of times, or a big thing like that. But they have bike nights through the summertime, and they have a band play there. But this Rendition is really good. It reminds you of Chicago, and my good friend Dave Waltz, he's in the band Whiskey River. He's a drummer. Incidentally, as I was mentioned before, my brother's a drummer. They both drummed for the same band back in the day at different times, obviously.
Right.
So that's kind of cool. But
speaking of Chicago, I have a cousin. Her husband, my cousin-in-law, I guess. He's in a band out of Columbus. It's called Direct Energy, and it's a lot like Chicago. They have all the instrumentation that Chicago has, and they've got a pretty decent lead singer. They do a lot of throwback tunes from those days, the 70s and 60s, 70s, and 80s. Real good band. Remind me a lot of Chicago. Mike Lee is my cousin-in-law. He plays trumpet, and they're pretty good group, pretty tight group. So if you ever have a chance to see them in the Columbus area, do it. They're pretty good. And then we have from Fiddlesticks Winterbottom III.
Not to be confusing with the other Fiddlestick Winterbottoms.
His comment is, how about the details about Joey's Vegas trip? There are rumors of a Friday wedding performed by an Elvis impersonator that was quickly followed by a Sunday night annulment. He was just an innocent podcast host from a local podcast show until he went to the city that never sleeps. What goes on in Vegas stays in Vegas. This is the story of the Joe from the Joe and Dan podcast show. For the next 48 hours, his life would change forever.
I'm going to Vegas 'cause I wanna play. Never been cured of my gambling ways. It's Friday night and I really wanna rock it. Got me the dreads on and money in my pocket.
Oh, let's go
Talk about Vegas.
talk about the trip. I wish it was.
What happened?
I wish it was exciting as that. You know what's funny? I don't want to sound like a veteran Vegas traveler, because the last couple times I've only been twice for just entertainment. Most of the time I go on a bowling trip for conventions and their stuff. You're busy, but every time I go there, I have some sort of interaction with the hooker. Or alleged hookers. Some of my
it is Vegas.
I didn't see their carrying card. Only one actually wanted me. How did she put it? Actually wanted to retain her services. Is how
Oh
she
my
put
goodness!
It. That was a couple years ago. But this, I was walking to the Pinball Hall of Fame. I love pinball, and it was a pretty good walk. I had Uber loaded on my phone, and I never used it before, so I went to order an Uber, and it said you got to load money on it. And for whatever reason, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't load the money on, and it was hot, and I was like, screw this, I'll walk. It's only 3 miles in the desert. So at one point, I'm walking behind this lady's crossing the street. We're crossing a major highway in a crosswalk, and I'm usually not forward with women at all, but she was very pretty, and I walked up next to her and I go, "Hey, they won't run over you. You're pretty." She goes, "This is Vegas, honey. They'll run over anybody." And I go, "Oh crap!" And I took off running away from her.
So let's get to the meat of this question here.
All right.
Did Joey get married in Vegas on a Friday and then had a quick annulment on a Sunday night?
Well,
the answer to that question is true or false.
Anybody who knows me knows I'm Catholic. There's no such thing as a quick Catholic annulment. But no, but it was a real Elvis. Was the real Elvis. It wasn't an impersonator.
What was a real Elvis?
The one that may or may not have performed the ceremony.
Okay.
It was actually I was trying to think of some. It was Judith Light who I married. I was trying to think of some TV actress.
So did anything other than getting married and getting a quick annulment? No, whatever. Seriously, that any exciting adventures other than that
the
you
Pinball
mentioned?
Hall of Fame was amazing.
Yeah,
it was just a little warehouse room. Pretty good size. It had like the old school pinball machines from back in
where you pull the lever and the ball shoots up and you're flipping the
very old school one. They had
before the digital age.
They had the Elton John Captain Fantastic pinball machine.
Nice.
They had then up to the brand new ones. It was crazy. Some of the things in there I haven't seen since I was a little kid.
Wow.
And what's interesting, if you buy a pinball machine for your house, it's pricey at one thing, but then there's wear and tear on it because you got that big steel ball bouncing off stuff. They've got a shop right in the building where they fix them up. And it was so funny. I walked up this lady and I said, oh, I've been waiting to come here so long. I walked 3 miles to get here all the way from the Orleans. And she goes, honey, pick up a bus. It's only like $2 or something like that. So I took a bus home.
Cool.
That was a highlight. Oh, and my friend, Terry, my friend Terry Johnson lives with her husband Steve out in Henderson, which is real close to where we stay all the time. And she took me out to the Valley of Fire, and we hiked through that. And
what's the Valley of Fire?
It's just these like trails that have a lot of the red rocks, or the rocks oxidized, so they turn like almost bright red.
Oh, okay.
And or turn that or white.
So there wasn't really a fire there.
No, there was no fire. Okay. Not when we were there. But there were crazy lizards running around, and it was kind of nuts.
There's lots of crazy stuff running around in Vegas, huh?
But there's one thing she took us to. She calls it the Trump Rock because there's this rock. It's a profile. It looks like a person, but she says it looks like Trump because that bottom lip is like sticking out.
Oh yeah.
But you walk up this scaffolding, and they're not called hieroglyphics. It's like paleographics. Because I guess, I don't know if it meant from the era it comes from. But you're looking at stuff thousands of years old. And it was pretty
nice.
cool.
Yeah, natural stuff, not man-made.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So for a first-timer that were to go to Vegas, based on the experience you've had, what would be a couple things that you would highly recommend that they don't miss?
All right. Depends, first off, if you're a gambler. So if you're a gambler and you want to gamble, make sure you find a hotel that's got the kind of games you want and how it laid up.
And are they all about the same, or are they
they're
different?
all pretty much about the same. Some of the casinos are like one company might own a couple different casinos, so your cards will work at different places. I'm not a crazy gambler. I gamble a little bit, but it doesn't really get my rocks
What do you
off.
play, the slot machines, the penny slots?
I didn't play any. I played video poker pretty much the whole time.
Did you win anything at all?
I didn't. The last time there, I was playing money. We're waiting on the shuttle to leave, and I put $20 into a machine, and I added up on like all the credits because I was trying to run it out. I ran it down to $10, and I bounced it back up to $25, and I got out. So I was pretty excited with that. So I played for a good while, and I made money. That's the only time I made money.
So you go to Vegas. You know, you want to go to a casino at least and try it.
Well, a lot of times it's cheaper if you go to a casino because they are subsidized on their gambling. So it's better to get a room that's not. But one thing you want to do definitely is go to Fremont Street, which is the old school Vegas downtown. They got this big canopy that's set up that's probably, I don't know, 50, 60 feet up in the air.
It makes it feel like you're inside.
Well, it shields you from rain, and they shoot like a laser show up on it, and they show videos.
So it's feels like you're walking in a mall or something.
They pump music out. They got a zip line that runs down the course of it.
Nice.
You can zip line it. There's all kinds of restaurants.
Hey, there goes Garth Brooks.
And there are all kinds of celebrity impersonators.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a Darth Vader a couple years ago. If you go my friends that are my Facebook friends, if you go to my videos, there's a video of me like fighting lightsabers with Darth Vader. It was so awesome.
What was the best celebrity impersonation?
Not my favorite.
Can you remember a particular one?
The best one was there was a Joe Pesci and who's Joe Pesci's buddy? Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro, yeah.
The Joe Pesci guy looked like him but didn't talk. Pesci talked and he looked and sounded just like him.
Oh, nice.
So I'm using my friend's phone trying to take a picture of her. She got the picture with him. And he's like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I go, forget about it.
The Joe yeah. What are you doing?
So my favorite, though, I squealed like a girl. Are you familiar with the Vegas Vacation movie?
Yeah. Chevy Chase?
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember when his son wants to get...
Can you believe it? That's a movie I've actually seen.
I know. You remember when Chevy Chase's son is... trying to get the fake ID, and they put that thing up, and he gets his picture taken. And somebody had one of those.
You showed that.
Yeah, and it said Nick Papagiorgio in it, and I tipped him before and after. I was so excited for that.
Nice.
That movie's particular. It's nice because my one of my good friends, Otto, we lived together for a while, and we went out to we wanted to find a really good movie to watch, and we watched a couple movies, and we found an old Rodney Dangerfield movie, Meet Wally Sparks. Never heard anything about it. And this Vegas Vacation. We thought, these movies are going to suck. We couldn't find any really good ones. Both those movies are great. I think because we went in both of them with very low expectations. So, yeah, sorry with Fiddlesticks. I'm not married, and if I do get married, I'm definitely having the Fiddles come down here. And Fiddles, by the way, has a Facebook page called Chamber of Chills, I think it is. He's probably...
Oh.
If you like horror movies, look them up on the Facebooks.
Now, is he a horror movie fanatic then?
Oh,
or?
yeah. He keeps up with it,
Does
really.
he do a podcast or anything? Or?
Chamber of Chills is what he calls it.
Chamber of Chills.
He updates it every day like today, but today at the movies, Alien 3 was released theatrically on May 22nd, 1992, and has a movie poster. And if there's somewhere that has like the movie, like he'll post an old movie and it's on YouTube, he'll post a link to it. So if there's an old like Darth Vader, or like Dracula movie, he'll have it right in there.
So he might be an interesting person to have on a podcast to talk to.
He is interested.
If he's a connoisseur of horror movies, I wonder if he has any interesting stories that he knows of.
Well,
about the makings of, or behind scenes, or just in general,
we haven't
interesting
mentioned
correlation between movies.
Brittany has to be on that day. By the way, Brittany couldn't make it today.
Yeah, Brittany's a big fan of
for all our
movies.
Brittany fans. She's got an amazing opportunity to do some stuff with her company. With her designing a new card, right?
So she's off on job assignment right now. So
we were hoping she could call in, but she's busy. Hopefully, we'll get her here the next time. But our Brittany and Fiddles are actually Facebook friends.
Ah,
because he added a lot of people that joined his group.
Perhaps we can get him on the show and have a little podcast discussion with him. That might be fun.
He lives far awayville. I don't know where exactly he lives, but he could call in.
Well, maybe we can arrange a call in then.
Yeah.
Okay, good deal. Well, moving on, we got Brad Birch. Thanks, Brad, for your comment. He writes, Game of Thrones fans have shit fits because what they wanted didn't happen. Now, I don't watch Game of Thrones. Do you?
I'm starting it. I'm like episode 5, the first season, and it starts off really slow because they're building up the story. It's set like in medieval times.
Right. Now, it sounds like a very appealing show that I would probably really enjoy, but isn't it only available on Netflix?
No, it's...
what is it?
It's on HBO.
Oh, HBO. That's right. Yeah.
Well, you have Amazon Prime. You can buy the season, I think.
Right.
But...
He also... so, sorry we weren't able to help you there with that one. It sounds like there's a lot of people upset about the result of that final season or final show.
Yeah, I've been trying to avoid it because if I don't put a lot of thought into it now, by the time I get around to the end of it, it'll be out of my.
But any of you other listeners of the podcast, you can maybe share your comments with Brad if you have any input on that particular one. But Brad also writes, Batman fans are pissed due to Robert Pattinson being chosen as the next Batman. And if any of you don't know, Robert Pattinson was in the vampire series. What was it called? Twilight. The Twilight series. Yeah, he's the guy that played the lead vampire, I guess.
Apparently, I didn't watch any of
I didn't see it either, but I saw it advertised quite a bit. But yeah, apparently he's been tapped as the next Batman. I don't know about that one.
I don't know. I want somebody that's built like I started to use a wrestler like Seth Rollins, who's not huge, but ripped, that you can hide their muscles in the suit. Like, no one should think when Bruce Wayne walks into a boardroom acting like he's drunk and partied out that he's actually a crime fighter. But they got to have this dark, mean side, and it's hard to picture somebody like that.
Robert Pattinson.
I was equally not happy with it until on the Jock and Nerd podcast, they got a Facebook page, and a gentleman said, hey, everybody was upset about Heath Ledger being Joker, and he was really good.
No, he was amazing.
I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I said, I didn't think of that.
Well, the Batman thing, obviously, the first one in the big blockbuster movies was Michael Keaton, and I know that when he was named to play Batman. Even myself included, kind of scratched their head and went, "Huh?"
Me too.
You know?
I heard that Bill Murray was in the running.
Really?
And I would be down for some Bill Murray.
Wow.
You ever seen Mad Dog and Glory?
I can't see it being anything but comical, though. I mean, I've seen Bill Murray in different roles. And
Mad Dog and Glory,
I didn't really care for his straight drama roles. I like him better when he's funny. Now, Robin Williams, on the other hand, could do anything. He was amazing.
Hello, look at me. I'm Batman.
Right. But Michael Keaton, I have my reservations about. But after I saw the movie, I liked his Batman. I wasn't super crazy about his Bruce Wayne character, but the Batman, I thought he did good in that character. But how many actors have we since Michael Keaton have we had take on the role of Batman?
First off, I refuse not to mention Adam West. He was my
Batman.
Batman.
Yeah, he was.
I grew up with him. He's my Batman.
He is. But he was a TV show Batman. He wasn't a movie. Well, I guess they had it made for movie.
Yes, they did, which is so. That show was so brilliant. They made it for the kids and for the adults.
It was campy, but it was
they
fun.
did it. They knew they wanted the parents to watch along with the kids.
Yeah.
So the kids would be into the fighting and stuff, and then when they're acting silly, the parents would like it.
I loved it. I grew up on Adam West's Batman. Yeah, I loved to watch that show.
All right, so we talked a little bit before the podcast. We actually went through the list. So after Michael Keaton was Val Kilmer.
Okay, Val Kilmer.
Then George Clooney. Then Christian Bale.
No, I liked Christian Bale.
Yeah, he was great.
See, now, from Michael Keaton to George Clooney, those were all kind of like the same kind of production. They were kind of like a little cheesy, campy kind of stuff. But when Christian Bale came along, it got serious, and I thought it was. Well, I think you said the storyline was a lot better. The script was a lot better too, and
look at it this
good
way.
Stuff.
The first two movies were Tim Burton. By the way, you can't mention Tim Burton without talking about Brittany. Brittany loves Tim Burton.
No, Tim Burton is brilliant.
So then, when it went to the third, it went to Joel Schumacher, who turned it a different direction and made it big and almost cartoony again.
Right.
And Arnold Schwarzenegger is Mr. Freeze.
Right.
So I don't. People crap on those Batmans a lot, but they what are they going to do with them? I mean, what are they with that script? You could put Robert De Niro as Batman, and he couldn't save those movies. It don't matter. But I get what Brad's talking about about fans like getting so worked up about stuff they don't even enjoy it anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, pro wrestling fans are notorious for that.
I like the Christian Bale Batman myself.
Oh, that was great.
I thought he was actually the best out of all of them.
I love the first two movies. The third one, I think they just ran out of juice with it. I didn't like that.
How many did Michael Keaton make? Did he make 3?
He made 2.
Oh, he made 2. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I was thinking he did
Batman
3.
and Batman Returns.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like the Indiana Jones. The first one's the best one, but
I like the first one. Temple Doom's fun because I was a kid, but the third one was really good. The Robert De Niro. Isn't that the third Indiana Jones?
No, it wasn't Robert De Niro. You're thinking of Sean Connery.
Yeah, Sean Connery. Yeah.
Junior.
We named the dog Indiana.
See if I can perfect my Sean Connery impersonation.
Junior. We figured out that all
I can do.
All my impressions sound exactly like me.
And then who else we have? Julie Boring. What's Julie have to say?
Julie wants to know about conscientious purchases to avoid buying stuff that's to buy more. Basically, make an effort to buy more recyclable materials.
So she writes, how about conscientious purchases that avoid non-reusable, non-recyclables?
I don't know. I'm not much for it. I recycle cans, and that's pretty much about it, personally.
I used to recycle all the time because we had curbside recycling in Lancaster. And I would save my cans and plastics and separate them, and I'd take them out, and I'd put them in the container they gave you, and it was easy. But then they did away with it. I continued doing it for a while, putting everything in the car and hauling it off to those recyclable trailers, and I don't know. I fell out of it, and
all right, well,
I don't do it anymore. Shame on me. But if we had curbside recycling, I bet you I'd be at it again. But I know they cut it because of cost restrictions to save money. But
this is
I miss it because I'd still recycle if it was curbside. But
this is actually very interesting. There's a guy I went to school with, graduated with me, and people went to school with. His name's Kenny Gregg, and he does a thing called Curbside Kenny. And Kenny's autistic, and He just has this company. Will go and he'll come to your place and he'll pick up stuff. See, I'll show you. You can't see it on podcast land, but
awesome.
I don't know exactly how it works, but
is in Lancaster?
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about that. Let's give him another plug there. Tell everybody about it.
It's called Curbside Kenny, and I'm looking at. Okay, he picks up inside and outside of Lancaster for a fee of $12 or $16 respectively. So if you're outside of Lancaster, it's $4 more. Kenny appreciates it when customers wash out the items and break down the boxes. There's no need to sort them. He enjoys that part. He accepts glass, aluminum, plastics, number 1 and number 2, newspaper, cardboard, and steel.
Oh, that's good information to know. Now, does Julie live in Lancaster? Does she? I wonder if she knows about that. Well, now you know. Kenny's
Here's a good picture of Kenny.
Recycling.
Kenny was always. We didn't know it was the 80s. I didn't know what was going on with him. We knew something was going on with him, but he was always happy and fun and very social. You just mentioned they don't do the curbside pickup, and I remember hearing about Kenny doing that.
Yeah,
and was
that's awesome.
So Julie, I don't know if you should remember Kenny, Greg. So you should look into that too. I don't know. You might. She's really good about that. I'll tell you one thing. Julie does is something you did before. She likes to recycle stuff into art.
Yeah, I've done that in the past.
Julie's very, very artistic.
Take old junk metals and stuff and put them all together and make something creative out of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of fun.
She actually, we have an event for our bowling organization called Struck Out Breast Cancer, and I asked her to if she would make something up. So she made up, she had her daughter pose. Her daughter's in the Air Force. Pose in a uniform, doing saluting. I'm doing the saluting now, so you can see out there in land.
I see that.
And she took postage stamps and made that picture into made it out of postage stamps.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Then we put it we raffled it off, and then the lady that won it brought it to another fundraiser we had for veterans. So it actually got raffled off twice. So thank you for that, Julie. Julie's pretty awesome.
And thanks everybody for those comments. Those are great. Keep them coming. We have something to talk about on all the podcasts. I think we covered everybody there. So hopefully,
there's one more.
Oh, got another one.
Actually, maybe two. We'll get the first one. My friend Cheryl Cottrell wanted to know what are the rules for letting somebody out in traffic when you're in bad traffic? What are your rules, Dan? I think everybody has their own rules. What's your rules?
I guess if I see I'm able to let somebody in front of me for like a merging purpose or something, I'm one of those people that actually will think about that and back off and let somebody in. Only one person at a time, though. I'm not going to let a whole line of people in front of me. Just one person. If everybody did that, if each person would let one person in front of them, imagine how much smoother the traffic would be.
Especially like if you drive up 33 and then there's the off ramps in the morning. If you go 8 o'clock in the morning up toward Columbus, a lot of the off ramps coming off from Gender Road and Hamilton get backed up, and people don't want to let people in. But you flip the coin. I'm coming home. Someone's let me in when I get on 33, so I let them in. But one thing I don't like is, say you're in Columbus. It doesn't happen so much around here, around Lancaster, but you're the traffic stops on your road, and you're at the green light. You don't go out in the intersection because you don't want to be in the middle of the intersection when the light changes, because that's wrong, because sometimes it happens on accident. It really sucks. Sometimes you're driving, you just stopped in the middle of the intersection, and people aren't very understanding to that dilemma. So I'll back up, but then somebody that's in the cross lane will think because I left a gap, they can just turn left there. I'm like, I'm being nice and not blocking the intersection, not like trying to add to the traffic problems. Wait till the light turns green and get out yourself.
Like when you're making a left turn, you mean?
No, I'm going straight. They're making a left turn.
Oh, okay.
So I leave the gap, and they think, oh, they wave, and they just cut out.
Yeah.
And what do? They set in the middle of the intersection. Sorry, I'm getting fired up now. Let me tell you something else. For years, I worked in Gahanna, and oh, man, I'm fired up now. I worked in Gahanna, Ohio, which is suburban Columbus, and I would drive home on 270, which is our outer belt, when I would get to Route 33, which is how you get back to Lancaster, and there would be a big line of traffic backed up waiting to go onto 33. So what happens are people are like, oh, I don't want to wait in line, and they drive all the way up and they cut in.
Yeah.
And I hate that.
Yeah.
The first rule they teach you in kindergarten, think about this. The first day of kindergarten, what do they teach you? How to stand in a line.
Yeah.
So everybody driving would fail the first test in kindergarten.
How to stand in line, and then when they grow up to be teenagers or young adults, and they go to Kings Island or Disney World, and they want to ditch in front of people on the roller coaster line.
At least they're kind of slick about that. But think about it, in traffic, they'll just push their way in,
and people
you wouldn't do that in a line at the grocery store. Just push your way in like that and be
and people out there, when you come to a 4-way stop or a 3-way stop, it's the first person there has the right of way.
Or let's say this happened to me today. I wanted to smack the guy. He gets to the intersection clearly before me. So I roll up and we're both looking at each other. I wave him forward and he waves me forward. So I was like, well,
so
we're
waving each other forward.
And they usually do it real annoying, like, just go, come on. If you would have went.
And they start with their fingers. And then if you don't respond, then they use their hand, and then it's the whole arm, and then they're getting aggressive. Then
it goes down to the one finger.
But it's the middle one, isn't it?
That's right. Oh man, this is great. We one other thing, I got a buddy named Downstairs Dave. He's always asking me to put him on the podcast, and I say, give me a question, and he never does. So I haven't put him on because, like, you ask a question, I'll put you on the podcast.
Yeah, we can get him on the podcast.
But he one thing he always wants me to bring up is I met him going to wrestling shows. I used to go to WrestleMania every year. A group of us would go get a big group of hotel rooms, put 3 or 4 people in a room, usually $30 a night. It was cheap. We would drink. When WrestleMania's in a big city, there's all these other little tiny wrestling shows and always stuff to do all week. So you're going back and forth to shows, coming back to the hotel room to drinking. And Downstairs Dave is famous for what wrestlers call cutting a promo. So 2 wrestlers are going to have a big fight, so they're doing their interview where they're talking crap about the other
like
wrestler.
They do in boxing world.
Yeah. Well, they do it in UFC too.
Right.
It's cutting a promo is what they call it in wrestling. So Dave was drunk and he cut a promo against the wall. Which, as he tells the story, he cut the greatest promo ever, and it was pretty much him going.
Do we have this on videotape or recording?
No, I don't know. Wait, I might have a recording of it here. Let me see if I can find it. Apparently, we don't have a recording of it. I don't know.
We're having technical difficulties.
Lady Elaine Fairchild.
What's working?
You know who I am?
Yeah, we know who you are.
Joe called and said that there was a man here who had some wonderful horns.
Got horns?
That was actually Dave cutting the promo against the wall.
That was a pretty good impersonation. We need to have an impersonation podcast and have various amateur impersonators on. See who does the best impersonation of various celebrities. Hey, no,
Witchy poo.
That's actually not a bad idea, you know.
That is pretty good.
Impersonators.
Long as you and I don't
podcast.
do any of the. Long as you and I don't do any of the.
Or have a bad celebrity impersonations podcast. There you go. Anybody can be on that one.
Oh man! So
anyways, we love those feedback on Facebook when you use that. I don't know what else is going on, man. With things we randomly talked about. Oh, it's gardening season now. You know, it's after the May 15th. You can plant your flowers and everything, and that's pretty exciting, isn't it? Have you ever planted a garden, Joe?
I planted a lima bean in first grade once.
One lima bean?
Yeah, but after that,
did you get a plant from it?
Well, yeah, it got a bean from it.
You grew the plant and it got one bean?
Well, when it got so big, my grandma had. You hear someone say they had a green thumb?
Yeah,
she had the greenest thumb ever. My people in the neighborhood would bring over these plants that looked like it was a stick in dirt,
and she
would make it flourish.
Yeah,
flourish, excellent. And my brother one time tried to convince her that he had some plants or tomatoes, and once they got growing up pretty good, those plants disappeared. I'm pretty sure that was the marijuana though.
It's fun to grow plants. So tomato plants probably are the number one all-American choice for growing vegetables. The tomato is the first thing most people go for.
Corn too, if you got the room for it.
Yeah, you got to have the room for corn, but tomatoes seem to be the number one choice from what I've read, and I've done that as well. It's kind of fun to watch them grow progressively, and looking forward to those ripe red fruits that you're going to be able to slice and enjoy until you go out one day and find out that a groundhog is eating them before you got to them.
I was going to say, didn't you have an animal? I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. So anyway, we take advantage of the farmers market local farmers market. Every community's got a farmers market, right? So if you're not into growing, go there and support your local growers and get some fresh produce.
They got some interesting stuff there. Sometimes you have like blueberries, or you never know what they're going to have.
Yeah, and if it's locally grown, you know, it's right off the vine or the plant. That's the best way to get it, man. And it's at its height of vitamin bountifulness. I'm searching for the right word.
I heard something interesting today. There's a lady I work with had a sleeve put in, like a gastric sleeve, and she had to learn how to eat over again. And one thing she said that everybody should do is what they told her when she had to go to classes and stuff, that you shouldn't drink anything when you eat. That you should not drink anything a half hour before you eat, and then not a half hour afterward, because when we eat and drink at the same time, it flushes things out. It doesn't set in your stomach and get the nutrients.
Huh. And that's the way to do it. Most people go to a restaurant and they're always going to have something to drink with their meal.
Well, I want to know this. If it flushes it out quicker, if you're eating a lot of crap,
you don't get the nutrients because it doesn't have time to absorb.
But what if you're eating like sugar and stuff like that? It flushes.
You
it out.
want to get that out.
Yeah, I think that's a recipe builder.
Depends
right
on what
there.
you're eating, then I guess.
It probably didn't work that way. But Fred Rogers, you're still here, right?
Sure.
Okay, good.
Okay, that's good. He's the number one podcast listener from beyond. So gardening, you know, get out there and plant your gardens and your flowers, and moving on. You'd mentioned summer festivals. We got a bunch of all kinds of festivals coming up because we're a festival state, Ohio.
Oh, yeah.
We got festivals everywhere in every state and all over Ohio and every town. Everybody's got it. Hey, let's have a festival. About what? I don't know. Let's just have a festival, a street festival.
God. I mean, beyond the little fairs that they have, there's, man, you're right. Every little town has one. There's what's the one in Groveport? There's,
they have Groveport or Sugar Grove or what?
No. We're talking that way.
There's a Jazz and Rib Fest downtown Columbus. Groveport has they have like a jazz fest or something.
I can't
Blues
think
Fest.
of the name. The Blues Fest is in Canal Winchester.
Well, they have blues festivals and
That's
all over the
that
place,
one in
but
Canal Winchester is really
is it good?
And
I've
this
never
year,
been to that. I want to go to that. I love the blues.
I went there one time, and my biggest regret was I didn't have two stomachs, because all the food smelled really good, and I was full after the first one I ate. But there's a guy by the name of Willie Phoenix going to be playing it among other artists and it's in August. I think it's first week in August. And I have a friend, Dave Bowman, who used to work with me, and he goes to Comfest a lot. Willie Phoenix plays at Comfest, and he's
I've
a
been
big
to Comfest. That's good
he's
music
a big
there.
Yeah, you're talking diverse music. You might,
very diverse. Yeah, I like
might-
that. I like diversity in music.
You might have a cover band doing whatever, or you might have Harry Christmas. I mean, you never know what you're going to see at Comfest. It's great.
But that kind of ties in with Spank's question about the music too. Summertime, not only festivals, but just regular street festivals, but music festivals. You know, there's a bunch of that stuff that takes place too. So some national acts come into town, or there's a lot of good local artists out there too, sharing their music. So it doesn't always have to be a national act. Sometimes some of the best stuff is the local acts, local musicians. So get out there and support your local musicians.
Apparently, Groveport has the Apple Butter Day.
I like apple butter.
There's another one. Here's Ohio Festival schedules. There you go. We're going to credit Google on this. If you haven't tried Google, try Google today.
It's our little plug for Google.
They need
we get no compensation for that whatsoever. They
need the help.
Hey, let's not forget when we're talking about festivals. Of course, let's not forget our own Lancaster Festival. And that's usually in July. Is it?
Yeah, something like that.
I think it's like in the first part of July. Then, of course, one of my favorites, not in Lancaster, but in Columbus, the Dublin, Ohio area, is the Irish Festival. That's one of my favorite ones. And, Joe, we took you there one year. We talked about that on a podcast. That's a good time.
That was a lot of fun.
And you can, you might say, oh, I don't like Irish music, but have you ever listened to Celtic rock? Celtic rock is good stuff. It's like... Think of rock and roll with a bagpipe. Well, I guess AC/DC already did that, but it's good stuff. So check it out. Yeah, and try the fish.
Newark has the Strawberry Festival. I like strawberries.
There you go.
There's a bunch and all the big towns have a bunch of them.
Down near Athens, there's the Paw Paw Festival too, and that's an interesting little festival. The pawpaw is a native fruit that you can only find it fresh on a tree because it's not something that is mass produced and sold in grocery stores, because of the fact once you pull the fruit from the branch, it's going to ripen within one day. You have to eat them up quick. But it's a local fruit. Tastes a little bit cross between a banana and a banana and a pear? Anyway.
What do you get when you cross a banana and a pear?
A pawpaw.
There's a ton of festivals. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just going. There's
there's a website you can go to, and it
The
just like
White House
it
Cherry
goes on
Fest.
forever and ever and ever.
We should share this on our page too.
I mean, you can, like I said, you can have a festival for anything.
The Nelsonville Music Fest.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
They're
yeah.
having Death Cab for Cuties. They're going to be there. Pickerton Village Pet Fest. Pet Fest. Pet Fest. Pet Fest.
We should do a promo commercial for that.
Pet Fest.
Coming to Ohio, the Pet Fest.
We've got pets. And that's all. And you can go to Van Wert for the Pinot Eve Festival.
Yeah. Van Wert's got a good fair, a state fair or a town fair. Van Wert Fair, that's what it's called. Yeah.
There's a lot.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm just-
guy, wise guy.
I don't mean to bust out on Newark, but there's a lot of other places that have the Strawberry Festival.
Oh yeah. No, Reynoldsburg, they have a tomato festival.
Yeah, yes, they do. I can't think of that one. Damn, I can't think of that one.
You know what? We should start a festival.
The Joe and Dan Festival.
The Joe and Dan Podcast Show Festival.
When we celebrate doing...
Everybody can wear T-shirts that have microphones on them.
we have to do a
earphones.
whole year of
Headphones.
podcasting and not take any time off. We're 2 months in a row, baby. We're 10 more to go and we'll have it. The Washboard Festival in Logan.
Yeah, that's a good one. I've been to that several times. That's a fun little street festival.
Oh, road trip, buddy.
You can actually even take a tour through the washboard factory there. They actually have a working factory. They make washboards still today.
So there's a good festival July 13th through the 15th. It's in Steubenville. It's the Dean Martin Festival.
Ooh, Dean Martin was from Steubenville, Ohio.
That'd be fun.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
When
Or
the
you-
moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie. That's wasn't that one of his songs?
Yes, it was. You can also go to Kirtland. The Kirtland Kiwanis has a strawberry festival too.
Oh, there's
Too many strawberries festivals.
everywhere. Strawberries galore. Anyways, moving on from summer festivals. I don't know. We had mentioned quantum physics, which I know absolutely nothing about, but I'm sure, Joe, you know it all. Tell me about quantum physics.
All right, everything I know about quantum physics, quantum physics, I learned from the Ant-Man movie and Avengers Endgame.
Was that something that quantum physics, wasn't that Einstein had something to do with that? Was it?
I'm sure, probably. Let's see what Google.
I know E equals MC squared. That was
That's if we do a side podcast where two dumb guys try to explain really smart stuff to people.
well, like what it really means, man, is like, you know.
That's two high guys trying to figure out.
Yeah, two high guys explaining black holes. There's like this big like black spot in space, and it like sucks you up.
I guess the best way I can say it is quantum mechanics, including quantum field theory, is a fundamental theory in physics that describes nature at the smallest scale of energy levels of atoms and subatomic particles. Classic physics, the physics existing before quantum mechanics, describe natural at an ordinary scale.
Okay, I'm bored. So, like, what about Einstein? You think he was a cool cat, or do you think he was like nerdy, boring?
Didn't he? I think he slept around a bunch. So
Did he really?
He was kind of a celebrity in his own day. So
Huh. Wow. I wonder if he karaoke. I mean, if he did karaoke,
how would they do karaoke back then?
I don't know. He could probably made it up. He was a scientist.
You paid people to hold signs up with the
I
lyrics.
don't know. Maybe. What song do you think you would picture Albert Einstein singing karaoke?
I think he would definitely do some Counting Crows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
If
about-
we could get in the Bill and Ted thing and bring it back for karaoke night. Is that what you're talking about?
What about like poetry in motion? Science.
Blinded
Science.
me with science.
Blinded me. She blinded me with science. E equals MC Hammer.
Amadeus, 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 Amadeus.
Flock of seagulls. Yeah, I think he could be a cool cat. I know they had a really cool poster of him growing up, everybody had these posters of Albert Einstein hanging on their doors. That was pretty neat. That and W.C. Fields, but that's another era altogether.
Mr. Rogers, do you think Einstein was a cool cat?
Oh, sure.
There you go.
Well, there you go. Fred knew everybody, man. So, Joe, coming back from Vegas, the bowling convention and everything, I was thinking about bowling. We could have a podcast about bowling, since you're the all-knowing professor of bowling.
Oh, I'm sure all my bowling
think
friends
you'd like
love to hear that.
Maybe you could give like techniques for beginners of bowling, or why bowl?
I could probably do a podcast on the history of bowling. We've had a lot of really cool people, and it'd be fun to tell all the really cool stories. Bowling's here's the thing about bowling.
Oh, he's close to his mic. You can hear him better.
He always yells at me for
I
that.
do. He looks away a lot.
Well, the thing about bowling is it's easy for anybody to learn, but it's hard to master. And you have your regular league schedule where you'll meet like with a group of guys on a certain night of the week, like every Monday or Tuesday. My Monday league, obviously on Monday, and it runs like 30 weeks, I think, through the year, and then we take the summer off. But when you come around through the schedule, when you get into the spring, that's when we have our statewide tournaments, those are a lot of fun. I had a bunch of those. Seems like I was gone every weekend there for a while, wasn't I?
Yeah, every turning around and going on vacation.
I went to.
Did you go to Vegas a couple times? Oh no, just once. You went. Somewhere.
Yeah, I just went. Yeah, I went to Vegas once.
You went out of town somewhere else.
I went to Akron for the Knights of Columbus tournament.
Okay,
that was very special to me because my grandpa, I never met him. He died in. I always mess this up. I knew he was alive for the Kennedy assassination. He was dead for the moon landing, because I was born in 72.
Mm-hmm.
So he died like 68 or something, like 66, something like that.
Yeah,
and he was a bowler, but recreational bowler, didn't bowl in a league, and he was a big shot with the Knights of Columbus, and they had a league, but he didn't think he was good enough for the league. And they needed a bowler to bowl in the Knights of Columbus tournament. So they called him up, and he was so excited to get to bowl with them. His first ever tournament, and got up that morning, had a little bit of indigestion. Well, it turned out he was having a heart attack.
Yeah.
And he had the Widowmaker one, the big two big O's in the back. The same one Kevin Smith just had. They told Kevin Smith, and with today's technology, the doctor looked at him, and I'll edit it so for our sensitive people. He said that you only have a 20% chance of living through this surgery. And he said, but you're going to live because I'm effing good. And he didn't say effing. He used the F word. And he saved his life.
The doctor, that's the kind of doctor you want.
This was in the 60s, and he was waiting to be seen. And I guess he raised up in the seat and then dropped back down and was gone. It took
like
him
that.
instantly.
Yeah.
So he never got to finish the tournament. So I finally became a knight and then got to go to that tournament.
So
and
you got to finish.
I tried to bowl in that tournament several times, and something came up. Alex says, I've been in the church for about 5 years, and as soon as the bowlers found out I was in the church, was like, you got to bowl the KSE tournament. I haven't been able to do it till this year. So that was a lot of fun.
Awesome. So how did you hear about the story of your grandfather in this? Did your mom tell you this?
Yeah. I came home. They have a regular KSE league. That's what I bowl in on Monday, and you don't have to be a Catholic or a Knight to bowl in that league. The tournament you do, but anybody can bowl in that league. Well, I thought it was funny. I had this guy, I bowled the summer league, and this little short guy kept bugging me about bowling with him on Monday, or it was Thursday back then, bowling in the Knights of Columbus league. And I already had a league, and I didn't want to bowl too. And he kept asking. He was really nice, and his name was Owen Leffenbureau. He used to. I don't remember where he worked at, but after he was retired, he worked at Standing Stone just for part-time money. I'd always see him in there. And he's like, so finally I said, okay, I'll bowl in the Knights of Columbus League. What's funny about it, I go home and tell my mom about it, because I heard the story about Grandpa dying at the tournament, and I thought it was kind of funny, me not being I wasn't practicing Catholic at the time, definitely wasn't a Knight of Columbus. And I say, hey, Mom, guess what? I'm going to bowl in the Knights of Columbus League. And Mom starts crying.
No.
And I was like, what? What'd I say? And she said, your grandpa wanted to bowl in that league so bad. And that's when she told me that part of the story, that it meant so much to him to get to go bowl in that tournament that he passed away at. So it's funny. I go to that league, and I'm the youngest guy on the team by far. Like, if I went to that league now, and this was 20 years ago,
Yeah.
I would still be the youngest guy on the team. But it was Lloyd Russell, who's a local bowling legend. He was the secretary of the men's league forever. Dee Dee Eckerd, who I think that the family owns the nursing home there on Bexnob.
Okay.
It was just a bunch of, and there's the only two I really remember, but it was a bunch of really cool guys. And I was really happy to get to bowl with Lloyd. And we didn't win the league or anything, but Owen was great. Owen's son bowls in the Knights of Columbus League now, and we talk about his dad every now and then. He was, really cool.
your bowling group that you bowl with, you have a camaraderie with those people. You're like a family, and a lot of you guys have been bowling together for quite a long time. Maybe we get some of you guys together and do a podcast, and we can talk about some of the crazy stuff that's happened bowling, or fun highlights, or maybe even just talk about whatever bowling.
If we can catch,
kind of fun.
If we can catch my friend Erica Kellenbarger.
Mm-hmm.
She works with mortgages. I don't know the real word for it, but she has busy times of the month and
Mm-hmm.
end of the year, and she coaches the women's bowling team in Logan.
Okay.
So I think she would be excellent, because going into becoming a coach, and her dad is one of the legendary bowlers from around here. He passed away about a month after my mom did.
Yeah.
Kenny was a great bowler. He could bowl probably left-handed better than I can right-handed. He could bowl better blindfolded than I could.
Yeah. Yeah. So we got some potential podcast material there for interviewing.
Oh,
which
yeah,
is what
definitely.
which is the next stage we'd like to take the podcast in. We want to be our local Joe Rogan podcast and interview celebrities or anybody that has some interesting things to talk about.
If you're out there and you want to be on the Joe and Dan podcast show, please send a message to Joe or to Dan. How'd that sound?
That sounds really good. Now, send a message on Facebook.
Local indie, he doesn't wrestle anymore, but he was a local wrestler. Joe Spears mentioned about being on our Facebook page about coming on.
Kind of what wrestling was he into?
He did the pro wrestling, but more locally.
That would be an interesting.
Well, what's interesting about Joe is
that would be an interesting podcast.
He has worked with some big names. He's shared locker rooms with Ric Flair. And yeah.
So you might have some good stories.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
New Jack.
Awesome. Yeah.
A lot of good stories like that.
We're going to start making our list of people we'd like to get a hold of. See if you guys want to join us on the Joe and Dan podcast show. We sit around and just chit-chat. Hey, before we hang it up for this podcast, I know that I had jotted down here some update news or activities or past results of your Relay for Life, because I know you posted some of that stuff on our Facebook page. It's for a great cause, raising money for cancer. You got anything you want to tell anybody about that?
Well, first and foremost, if you're out there and you're a cancer survivor, and what I mean by survivor is somebody from day one. Let's say you get a little spot of cancer, you're lucky and it's on your hand, you catch it early, you get it taken away of, you're cancer-free, you've been cancer-free for 30 years, you're still a cancer survivor from day one diagnosis to the end. We're having a dinner on June 13th at the AmVets.
June 13th?
Yeah, I will post the information on our page. You have to call and make a reservation, because obviously we need to know how much food to have. We don't want to invite everybody, then 100 people show up, and unfortunately last year a lot of people RSVP'd and not a lot showed up, so there's a lot of food left over. We're having entertainment with Heather Santos Music. She's does acoustic music. Then June 22nd, we're having our relay event downtown Lancaster, and right in the middle of the downtown, we've got Will Smith and Will Timmis. You guys say Will Smith is going to be there?
You got the genie?
We're having the DJ Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince reunion. Will Timmis and Aaron Waltz are going to be reuniting.
Who are local musicians.
They used to play together a lot. Then Will's been going down, getting involved in some songwriting and some recording down in Nashville. He still plays. He still comes. He goes back and forth. They're going to open up, and we're pretty excited about that, because they do acoustic stuff. It's they do a lot of 90s stuff, 90s, and 90s music is really good. If you get away from the pop music, 90s pop I'm not crazy about, but you know what? 70s pop I'm not crazy about. but there's a lot of good music in the 70s. Slaw Dog is going to play. They're another acoustic band. We're having a live auction. Bob Rozier is going to be our auction, and we've got pretty much anything you can think of. We've got so much stuff donated. If you want to see a list of stuff that's donated, just go to Relay for Life Lancaster. It's on our there's a Facebook page. We had a Ford Drive Up event where you come up and you would test drive a car, and $20 would go to the Cancer Society. We raised about $2,500 there.
Excellent.
So we're pretty excited about that. But
June, now, how many years have you done that? I know I came to that one year. I wasn't able to make it this year, but
the
it was
Ford,
fun.
The Ford Drive Up is it's not every year.
Okay.
It's got they do for other charities like schools and just whatever. We got to get our spot at it. We haven't done it. It's been like 3 years or so since we've done that before.
Now, the year I was able to make it was at the fairgrounds, but this year you actually had it at the dealership.
Yeah, and they had a women's expo there. So check out those videos. I get to act like I was Cabot Ray walking around.
Yeah, that's who I was trying to think of, was Cabot Ray. Yeah, Cabot Ray. You did an excellent job on that. You should do more of that.
That was a lot of fun. And when I play Santa Claus at Christmas time, that's where if people donate money, that's where it goes. It goes to Relay for Life. It's just it's in these polarizing political times. Relay for Life has nothing to do pro or against abortion. It's just meaning Relay for Life about fighting cancer is what it means. And it's the fundraising arm of the American Cancer Society. So I know some people might be hear Relay for Life and think it's a run, or they think it's something to do about pro-choice or pro-life. It's nothing about that. It's about
cancer.
About cancer. And cancer strikes Republicans, Democrats,
Yep.
Independents, communists, dogs.
Yeah.
They have a dog event for
Is it really?
Yeah. Oh, they're my Relay friends are gonna kill me for not remembering it, but it's like Paul's for
Life.
Something like that. Yeah. Bark for Life. Bark for Life.
Bark for Life.
Bark for Life. Yeah, because dogs get And then there's another lady that started a 5K, Hank something or other. I can't remember that was her dog's name, and I don't know, but it's it goes to a different place just specifically towards dog cancer because dogs get it too, and they're our best friends.
A lot of good activities on the horizon for a good cause, and we would like to take this opportunity to encourage all of our podcast listeners to help support Relay for Life, and let's whoop this cancer in the ass. I think with that said, we're probably going to close this podcast out, and appreciate all the feedback and keep it coming. And who knows, maybe you'll be the next guest on the Joe and Dan podcast show. So with that, I'm going to say we're out of here, Joe.
I'm not in any hurry.
Sorry, Fred's not ready to go. I just want to say thanks everybody for listening, and send your questions, comments, and we'll put your name on the thing. And if you want to be on the podcast, get with us. We'll see if we can make that happen.
We'll see you guys later on the next podcast.